What's up, CLI Nation? This is Professor Hiram Sims coming to you live from the Sims Library of Poetry. The video that we are making today is focused on you understanding the process of how the book gets finished. And so there are several different parts that work together to make sure all students in CLI get their books done on time. The last video that we came to you with focused specifically on the book production process, but this video focuses on the process by which you finish your book in our program. So stay tuned and you'll learn a lot. So the first part of our process is for you, the author, to establish a crystal clear vision of the book that you're trying to create. This doesn't have to be 100% decided on before you start our class. However, the more clear you are, the easier it's going to be for you to move through the process and make the book that you want. So here on the table, I got a couple different books. So one of the things you want to really understand early on is like, what size do you want your book to be? You know, do you want it to be paperback, hardback? Do you want cover on the front? Do you want white pages? Do you want clear pages? So here's an example of books of various sizes. So this book by Maya Angelou is about 4 inches by 5 inches, right? And it's a hardback book. This book, which represents a more traditional size, is about 8 by 5. This book, also by Maya Angelou, is 9 by 6, and it has white paper instead of cream. This book is 8 by 10 and a half, which is almost the size of a regular sheet of paper, right? And this book is 11 by 11 inches, right? Do you want your book to be a coffee table book like this? Do you want it to be a standard book of poetry size? Do you want it to be like an industry standard 9 by 6, which is very, very common? But having an idea of what you want is important. The next thing that is important for you to understand is that we need you to hold the vision over time, which means that this process is not swift. It typically takes 2 semesters for a CLI student to get through this process. And some of you will do it a little faster, some of you will do it a little slower. You know, for some students it takes 3 semesters. For some students it takes a semester and a half for their book to get done. But regarding CLI's process, students are not eligible for book production until they're in semester 2. So we want you to clearly comprehend that this is a process where you take that vision that we talked about of your book and hold it over the course of 2 semesters so that we can get it made. All right, so the next important part of this process is showing up to class. This is an incredibly important piece. If all else fails, show up to class. The reason why showing up to class is so important is because there are parts of the class that are all working together to get you to finish your book. So I'll show you some parts of the flow of class. So the first part of class is we watch a poetry video, right? Which is connected to the mood check question. But during mood check, we're often asking you to report on what you're reading. Then there's a lesson, which is 25 to 30 minutes. And then there's a free write, where we ask you to write a brand new poem. Then we have the workshop, which is about 90 minutes. And that's when your fellow cohort students and your teacher are able to edit your work for you. Then after that, there's a guest lecture given by someone who has completed this process, hopefully to inspire you and also answer any questions that you might have if you're going through any particular struggles. So if all else fails, bring your ass to class. Come to class. It will change everything, especially if you're struggling in one part. The fact that you have community and people who are doing the same thing should inspire you every week. So show up to class. The next thing I want to talk about is what should happen outside of class. And this is our mantra. This is the CLI Lifestyle. We call it read every day, write every day. And I actually wrote a very beautiful book that the CLI students will have next year, which is a collection of inspirational stories from the lives of famous writers, all of which who adopted the habit of reading and writing on a daily basis. But there's a couple things I want you to understand about what I'm suggesting. Thing one that I want you to understand is that we are asking you to form an environment, a place where you will feel comfortable reading and writing on a daily basis. Maybe it's in your garage, maybe it's in your kitchen, maybe it's at a park, maybe it's, somewhere that you enjoy. But you want to make sure that when you create this place or find this place, that it's the most comfortable place possible for you to write, because we want you to visit this space on a daily basis. So, here's another important thing for you to understand about what we're asking you to do. And this is where a lot of CLI students get confused. Just because you're writing a book doesn't mean we're asking you to write a poem every day. We're not asking you to write a poem every day. We're asking you to read every day and write every day. Some days you'll write letters, some days you'll write a story, some days you'll write a journal, but we want you to be writing and reading on a daily basis and interacting with the fact that you are writing a book. I don't work on one page for my book every single day. What I do is I know my page count, and I make sure I add that number of pages to my manuscript every week. And we're going to talk about that next. One of the other important things to understand about this read every day, write every day process is that reading is fuel for writing. Writing is a biological process. So you take sentences in and then sentences come out. And when you read books of poetry or a children's book, if that's what you're writing, then you start to get a sense of what is common within that genre. Whether books of poetry always have forewords or introductions or prefaces, copyright pages. Do they typically use a similar font, right? So as you read more books in the genre that you are creating, you'll get a very clear sense of what successful writers are commonly doing in the genre. One of the other significant parts of this program that we want you to know is your page count. You need to know two parts of the page count. One, how many pages do you have? Two, how many pages do you need to turn in every week to finish your book on time? And we want you to hit that page count no matter what. For example, if we have 20 weeks of class and you're trying to write a 100-page book, you're going to have to turn in 5 pages every week. But 90% of you are not in that situation. You come into CLI with 30 pages, 40 pages, 50 pages. So if you have 40 pages and 60 to go, and you have 20 weeks, your page count is going to be 3 pages a week. So what you need to calculate all the time is, and when I say all the time, I really mean once a week. You need to look at how many pages do I have, how much time do I have, and what's my weekly page count. Here's another important thing about your page count. Don't trip about the readiness of the poem to go in your manuscript. Some of you are going to be like, I don't like these poems, or these poems are not good enough, or this is something for you to worry about at a different stage, at the editing stage, which comes as a part of book production. What we want you to do now is keep add more and more pages to your manuscript. And what you could also do, if you know how, is resize your manuscript to the size of your book. And then you'll know exactly how many pages that you have preparing to go into publication. So know your page count no matter what, and how many pages you have to turn in this week. So the last thing that I want to talk about are the success services that help that 4-step process that we do in CLI. So the first success service is special sessions. Special sessions are classes that are separate from your regular class time that we typically do bi-weekly or once a month. It's just an opportunity for you to learn more about the craft. Sometimes these sessions are on marketing, book production, sometimes performance, but we want you all to just get this extra education that enhances what you're already doing. The next success service I want to talk about is accountability partners. This is where we pair you up with a classmate, and on a daily basis, what we want you to do at a time that both of you agree on is just to simply send each other a text message that says, "Did you write today?" If the answer is yes, say, "Yes, did you write today?" And if the answer is no, you reply with, "Is there a chance you could write before the end of the day?" And the answer to that question should always be yes. So, super important that you have an accountability partner and that you all endeavor to hold each other accountable on a daily basis. One of the newest success services, we've been doing this for about 6 months, is called Writer's Block. So Writer's Block is a daily virtual writing session. And every morning from 7 to 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I open up a Zoom room for the CLI students to come in and write. So if you find yourself having a hard time writing on a daily basis, show up to Writer's Block and something will come out of you. On some days, it'll be a whole poem. On some days, it'll be a paragraph. On some days, it'll be a sentence. But it's a good way to get in a room full of people who are doing the same thing. So please join us in Writer's Block on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. So, in summary, there are 4 parts of the process that result in you finishing your book with CLI. The first part is to clarify the vision over time and know what you're making. Second is to come to class no matter what. Third is to read every day and write every day. And fourth is to know your page count and hit it every week no matter what. Be sure to take advantage of the success services that we have, which include the special sessions, the accountability partners, and Writer's Block, which happens every single morning. Thank you for watching, and good luck writing your book.